Have you ever looked up at the night sky, at that vast, glittering expanse of stars, and felt a strange sense of longing, a feeling that perhaps, just perhaps, you were looking towards home? It's a deeply human experience, this cosmic curiosity. We are a species that questions everything, especially our own origins. We've traced our lineage back through millennia, from the rise of civilizations to the first hominids walking the African savanna. We have pieced together the story of evolution, a magnificent tale of adaptation and survival written into the very fabric of our DNA. And yet, for all our knowledge, a persistent, almost heretical question sometimes whispers in the quiet moments of contemplation. What if we are not from here? What if humanity, in all its complexity and contradiction, is the alien on this planet? This isn't a question from the pages of a science fiction novel, though it has certainly fueled many. It's a thought experiment that pushes the boundaries of our understanding and forces us to look at ourselves from a completely new perspective. When we consider the grand tapestry of life on Earth, a story billions of years in the making, humanity appears as a very recent and rather peculiar thread. When we look at the animal kingdom, we see creatures perfectly attuned to their environment. A polar bear is a masterpiece of Arctic engineering, with its thick fur, layer of blubber, and paws designed for traversing ice. A camel is a living, breathing desert vessel, capable of enduring extreme heat and water scarcity with remarkable efficiency. Every species seems to fit its ecological niche like a key in a lock, a product of millions of years of fine-tuning by natural selection. Then we look at ourselves. Humans are, without a doubt, the most successful species on the planet, but we are also strangely and often comically ill-suited to it in our natural state. We are a collection of fascinating paradoxes and biological complaints. Consider the simple act of standing up. The prevalence of back pain and spinal issues in modern humans is astonishingly high. Some thinkers, like the ecologist Dr. Ellis Silver, propose that this is a relic of our evolutionary past on a world with lower gravity. In this view, our skeletons are not fully adapted to the constant, powerful pull of Earth's gravity, leading to the aches, slipped discs, and chronic pain that plague so many of us. We are the only bipedal primate that suffers from these issues on such a massive scale. Is this just an evolutionary trade-off for walking upright, or is it a sign that our bodies were designed for a gentler gravitational embrace? Our biological clocks also present a curious puzzle. Many organisms on Earth operate on a precise 24-hour circadian rhythm, perfectly synchronized with the planet's rotation. Yet, numerous sleep studies have shown that the natural human body clock seems to drift towards a cycle that is closer to 25 hours when deprived of external cues like sunlight. Furthermore, our reproductive process is fraught with difficulties and dangers not commonly seen in other mammals. The size of a human baby's head in relation to the mother's birth canal makes childbirth an incredibly perilous and painful event. Other primates simply do not face this level of risk. Why would evolution produce such a dangerous and inefficient system? The sun is the engine of life on Earth. It powers photosynthesis, drives our climate, and provides the energy that sustains nearly every ecosystem. For most terrestrial life, the sun is a source of pure, life-giving energy. They bask in it, thrive in it, and have evolved elegant ways to harness its power. Humans, on the other hand, seem to have a deeply ambivalent relationship with our local star. While we certainly need it for vitamin D production and to keep the planet from freezing over, our exposure to it is surprisingly limited. We seem almost uniquely vulnerable to its unfiltered rays, a strange characteristic for a creature supposedly born and bred on this sun-drenched world. Think about our skin. Unlike our primate cousins, we are naked apes, lacking a protective coat of fur. Yet despite this, our skin is remarkably sensitive to the ultraviolet radiation emitted by the sun. A few hours of direct exposure can result in painful sunburn, and chronic exposure dramatically increases the risk of developing deadly skin cancers like melanoma. Most other hairless mammals, such as elephants and rhinoceroses, have tougher, more resilient skin that is better equipped to handle constant sun exposure. We, however, must seek shade or invent artificial protections like clothing and sunscreen to simply exist comfortably under the light of our own star. It's a bit like a fish being allergic to water. Our eyes tell a similar story. The brightness of direct sunlight is often overwhelming for human vision, causing us to squint and shield our eyes. Many other animals, from eagles with their superb long-distance vision to cats with their adaptable pupils, seem far more comfortable with the ambient light levels on this planet. Could our eyes have evolved to function under the light of a different kind of star? Perhaps a red dwarf, a much dimmer and more common type of star in our galaxy, which would emit light at different, less harsh frequencies, making our world seem perpetually overcast and comfortable. Beyond our specific issues with gravity and sunlight, humanity exhibits a general fragility that seems at odds with the ruggedness of other apex species. We are born incredibly helpless, requiring years of intensive care before we can even begin to fend for ourselves. A newborn foal can stand and walk within an hour of birth. A human infant is a bundle of potential that is entirely dependent on its caregivers for survival. This extended period of neoteny, or the retention of juvenile features into adulthood, is a hallmark of our species. While it allows for immense learning and brain development, it also makes our young extraordinarily vulnerable for an extended period, a risky evolutionary strategy. Our general health is another area filled with curious anomalies. Humans are susceptible to an enormous range of chronic diseases and ailments that are far less common in wild animals. From allergies that flare up in response to native pollens and dust, to autoimmune disorders where the body literally attacks itself, our immune systems can seem overreactive and poorly adapted to our environment. It's as if our defense mechanisms are calibrated for a different set of microbial and environmental threats. We are constantly battling illnesses, both minor and severe, suggesting a fundamental lack of equilibrium between our biology and the Earth's biosphere. We are a species that needs cooked food, purified water, and sterile shelters to truly thrive. Consider our dietary needs. We require a complex and varied diet rich in specific vitamins and minerals, and a deficiency in any one of them can lead to serious illness. The story of sailors developing scurvy due to a lack of vitamin C on long voyages is a classic example. Most other animals can synthesize their own vitamin C. Primates, including us, cannot. This fragility culminates in our profound reliance on technology. We cannot survive in most of Earth's environments without our tools and inventions. We need clothing to protect us from the cold and the sun, shelters to shield us from the elements, and complex systems of agriculture to feed our populations. No other animal has so completely divorced itself from its natural state in order to survive. We don't adapt to the environment, we change the environment to suit us. This could be seen as our greatest strength, the very definition of our intelligence. Or it could be interpreted as the ultimate sign of a non-native species, forced to build an artificial world because it can no longer survive in the natural one. Perhaps the greatest chasm separating humanity from the rest of Earth's biosphere is not in our bodies but in our minds. The emergence of self-aware, abstract consciousness is honestly the central mystery of our existence. While many animals display high levels of intelligence, emotional complexity, and problem-solving skills, human consciousness appears to be an order of magnitude different. We don't just solve problems. We ponder the nature of existence. We create art, music, and literature to express intangible feelings and ideas. We develop complex ethical systems and philosophical frameworks to guide our behavior. This inner world of ours is a universe unto itself. Where did this explosive leap in cognitive ability come from? The evolutionary timeline shows a remarkably sudden and rapid increase in brain size and complexity in our hominid ancestors. This great leap forward, occurring around 50,000 years ago, saw the sudden appearance of sophisticated tools, symbolic art, and complex language. For millions of years, progress was slow and incremental. Then, in a geological blink of an eye, something changed. What was the catalyst for this cognitive revolution? Was it a simple genetic mutation, or could it have been an external influence? The sheer speed and scale of this transformation has led some to wonder if our consciousness itself might have an off-world origin. This idea suggests that our physical bodies may have evolved on Earth, but our consciousness, our software, was somehow implanted or introduced from an external source. This is a recurring theme in many ancient mythologies and modern ancient astronaut theories, which posit that divine or extraterrestrial beings gifted humanity with knowledge and awareness. While this steps firmly into the realm of speculation, it attempts to explain the seemingly unbridgeable gap between us and other intelligent species. We are not just smarter apes. Our entire mode of thinking, our ability to comprehend the abstract and the infinite, seems to be a feature unique to us. This unique consciousness is also the source of our deepest anxieties. We are, as far as we know, the only species on this planet burdened with the knowledge of its own mortality. This awareness gives rise to existential dread, but it also fuels our greatest ambitions: to leave a legacy, to understand the universe, to find meaning in our brief existence. This complex interplay of creativity and anxiety, of wonder and fear, is really the essence of the human condition. It makes us restless, perpetually dissatisfied with the world as it is. It drives us to explore, to build, to reach for the stars. Is this restlessness the innate drive of a truly terrestrial species? Or is it the cosmic homesickness of a species that dimly remembers another home? If we are to seriously entertain the idea that humanity is not native to Earth, we must ask how we could have arrived here. Science offers a fascinating and honestly pretty plausible mechanism known as panspermia. This is the theory that life, or the fundamental building blocks of life, can be distributed throughout the universe, traveling from one planet to another aboard meteorites, asteroids, or comets. Microscopic organisms like extremophile bacteria have been shown to be incredibly resilient, capable of surviving the vacuum of space, extreme temperatures, and intense radiation. It's totally conceivable that microbial life from another world, perhaps Mars or a planet in another star system, could have hitched a ride on a rock and crash-landed on a young Earth, seeding it with life. This theory takes an even more intriguing turn with the concept of directed panspermia, famously proposed by a scientist of no less stature than Francis Crick, the co-discoverer of the DNA double helix. Crick, along with his colleague Leslie Orgel, found it difficult to explain how a molecule as complex as DNA could have arisen spontaneously on early Earth. They proposed that an advanced extraterrestrial civilization may have intentionally sent seeds of life, perhaps microorganisms containing their own genetic blueprint, out into the cosmos in an unmanned spacecraft to take root on suitable planets. In this scenario, all life on Earth, including us, would be the descendants of this deliberate interstellar seeding. While these theories typically refer to the origin of life itself, not specifically humans, they open the door to more radical possibilities. If an advanced civilization could send microbes, could they not also send more complex genetic information? Some have speculated that the great leap forward in human evolution could have been the result of a targeted genetic intervention by an extraterrestrial intelligence. This is the core idea behind many ancient astronaut theories, which interpret ancient texts and artifacts as evidence of alien contact. They suggest that beings from another world visited Earth in the distant past and manipulated the DNA of a promising primate species, creating Homo sapiens in their own image. This is where the line between science and speculative mythology becomes wonderfully blurred. We have the established science of astrobiology, which acknowledges the cosmic distribution of organic molecules. We have the plausible, if unproven, theory of panspermia. And then we have the rich tapestry of human mythology, filled with stories of sky gods who descend from the heavens to bestow wisdom and create humanity. From the Anunnaki of ancient Sumeria to the star people of Native American lore, cultures across the globe share a common narrative theme. Could these be fragmented, distorted memories of a real event, a collective cultural memory of our own extraterrestrial origins? If we allow ourselves to imagine that Earth is not our homeworld, the next logical question is a profound one. Where are we from? The search for an alternative origin point is, honestly, a journey through scientific possibility and imaginative speculation. The most obvious first stop is our closest neighbor, Mars. We now know that ancient Mars was a very different place. Billions of years ago, it had a thicker atmosphere, liquid water flowing in rivers and oceans, and a protective magnetic field. It might have been a more suitable cradle for life than Earth was at the time. Perhaps life began on Mars, and as the planet died, a cataclysmic impact blasted Martian rocks carrying primitive life into space, one of which eventually found its way to Earth. Another compelling candidate lies much further away, in the Alpha Centauri system, our closest stellar neighbor just over 4 light-years away. More specifically, Proxima Centauri, a red dwarf star in that system, is known to have at least one potentially habitable Earth-sized planet, Proxima Centauri b. A world orbiting a red dwarf would be very different from our own. It would be tidally locked, with one side in perpetual daylight and the other in eternal night. The light from the star would be dimmer and redder. This aligns intriguingly with some of our biological oddities, a preference for a slightly longer day and a sensitivity to the bright, yellow-white light of our own sun. Could we be refugees from a dying world in the Alpha Centauri system? Venturing even deeper into the galaxy, the possibilities become endless. The Kepler Space Telescope has revealed that rocky Earth-sized planets in the habitable zones of their stars are incredibly common. There could be tens of billions of such worlds in the Milky Way alone. Our home could be a planet orbiting a star in a distant spiral arm, a place we may never be able to identify. Proponents of this idea sometimes point to the unique elemental composition of the human body, or search for anomalies in our DNA that might act as a manufacturer's stamp, a sign of artificial genetic engineering from a highly advanced civilization. Ultimately, without a spaceship and a star map, this question remains one of pure speculation. Yet, the act of asking it is valuable. It forces us to consider the vastness of the universe and the sheer number of potential homes for life. Whether we are from Mars, Proxima b, or a galaxy far, far away, the thought that we might have another home somewhere in the cosmos changes our relationship with the stars. They are no longer just distant points of light. They become a sea of possibilities, a collection of potential birthplaces. The search for our origin becomes intertwined with the search for extraterrestrial life itself. In looking for them, we might just be looking for our long-lost relatives. We have journeyed through a landscape of radical ideas, from our aching backs and sun-sensitive skin to the silent whispers of panspermia and the grand enigma of our own consciousness. The theory that we are not native to Earth is, for now, a fringe idea, a fascinating thought experiment that exists on the borderlands of science and imagination. There is no single piece of smoking gun evidence to support it. The vast majority of scientific consensus still points to a terrestrial origin, a story of evolution that played out entirely on the plains, forests, and waters of this world. And yet, the questions remain, nagging at the edges of our certainty. The value of this inquiry is not necessarily in finding a definitive answer. Its true power lies in its ability to force us to look at ourselves with fresh eyes. By framing ourselves as potential aliens, we can better appreciate our profound uniqueness. Whether our strange collection of traits is the result of an evolutionary path on another world, or a series of bizarre evolutionary trade-offs on this one, the fact remains that we are a peculiar species. We are the creatures who are somehow both perfectly adapted to dominate this planet and strangely ill-suited to live on it comfortably. We are the universe's great paradox. Perhaps it doesn't matter whether our ancestors arrived on a meteorite or evolved from the primordial soup of ancient Earth. What matters is the journey we are on now. We are a species of explorers driven by a relentless curiosity that has taken us from the deepest ocean trenches to the surface of the moon. This innate desire to explore, to understand, to reach beyond our current horizons is the most defining characteristic of humanity. Maybe this restlessness is not a sign of being from another place, but is instead the very mechanism by which life, born on one small world, begins to spread itself out into the vast, silent universe. So the next time you look up at the star-dusted canvas of the night sky, allow yourself to wonder, are you looking out at a foreign and empty void, or are you gazing across the cosmic ocean towards a home you have long forgotten? We may never know for certain, but the very act of asking the question connects us to that immense cosmos. It reminds us that the story of humanity is not just a terrestrial tale, but a chapter in a much grander, universal narrative that is still being written. We are, in the most profound sense, children of the cosmos, and the search for our true origins has only just begun.